Welcome to another episode of Snap Aim Podcast. It has been a minute, I know. Don't come for me, all right? It's been a rough couple of weeks. But today's news. It's a little bit interesting actually, and it's something that I'm not like completely against, but we'll get to that. So, the Australian government decided to push for a ban on social media for children 16 and younger. Okay, so you might be saying, Stella, why are we talking about social media when we want to hear about game news? It's kind of related. All right, I'll get there. Just give me a minute. So, this ban for social media, this proposed ban in Australia would encompass all of the meta platforms, which is Instagram and Facebook, which hate that they're connected, but whatever. TikTok and Twitter, which, there's no loss there, and also YouTube. So, this is why it's kind of relevant to gaming, right? Because YouTube has been a home for the gaming community for a really, really long time. I mean, that has been the gaming content site for years. And I feel like a lot of the core audience that is the younger generation is still going to YouTube actively. So that's the generation and the platform that the Australian government wants to ban. The Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, I think is how you say it, he wants to lead the world in protecting children from the dangers of social media. Specifically, Albanese said, social media is doing harm to our kids and I'm calling time on it. I'm not against what he's saying. I agree that social media has gotten way out of hand, especially with the way that any public figure on socials can post photos that are heavily edited, and kids will believe that's real. When I was growing up, it was always magazines and the photos in them that were the issue and would cause, different kinds of ideas on what exactly beauty standards were, what are the attitudes you should be having towards other people. But now it's easily accessible on basically any site that you visit. So I totally get the dangers and issues with social media and children specifically, especially with how easy it is to make a free account. But that's not even factoring the real stranger danger shit that can happen on social media because anyone can pretend to be anyone. However, Albanese says that there won't be any exceptions for children under 16 who have parental consent or those who already have accounts on the various sites they're proposing to ban. He said the onus will be on social media platforms to demonstrate they are taking reasonable actions and steps to prevent access. The onus won't be on parents or young people. The Digital Industry Group Incorporated is the Australian nonprofit industry association representing online safety, and they actually include Meta, TikTok, Twitter, and Google. Though they're mostly on board with the idea of protecting the younger population with online regulations, the DIGI is concerned that this ban will result in the younger audience actually finding other more drastic and darker ways to access these sites, or even just the unregulated site of the internet just to get back online. The DIGI managing director Sunita Bose said keeping young people safe online is a top priority, but the proposed ban for teenagers to access digital platforms is a 20th century response to a 21st century challenge. Rather than blocking access through bans, we need to take a balanced approach, create age-appropriated spaces, build digital literacy, and protect young people from online harm. So here's the thing, I can see both sides of this argument, but I do agree with Bose that kids would find a workaround that might be more harmful than helpful. I've totally been there, and I can tell you firsthand, that is totally going to happen. My parents used to unplug the router when they would leave the house and leave me and my sister alone, and that was in order to try to keep us from getting online and limit our time on our computers. But I mean, there was always a workaround for that, right? But you'd think it would be easy enough just to plug the router back in, but here's the thing. The funny thing is that my dad would always come back and he would put his hand on the router to see if it was warm from usage. So we had to get very creative. We had to get very specific with timing, but we still did it. It seems extreme and excessive, but back then, honestly, the internet wasn't what it is now. So I would always just go online at night anyways, because the router would just be kept on overnight. And I would just hide my really chunky ass laptop under my blanket and just watch YouTube and whatever else I could find, browse the internet. And while I think these are all really good measures, kids will always find a way. They are so creative. So I think it's great to be thinking of ways to protect the younger internet users against the shit that's on there now. But I don't think completely banning these things are going to fix anything. Things that are restricted become way more enticing to kids of that age. So what do you think? Should the US also be implementing some better internet safety measures for minors? Or do you think this is too extreme? And I don't know, if you have any better ideas, let me know. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.